I just got back from Singapore, and I spent a couple days at the Token 2049 conference. Sold out, 20,000 people, crazy. I was actually there last year during the crypto winter bear market, and it sure wasn't a bear market in Singapore. So amazing to see how Asia is maybe even driving a lot of this technology right now. But then I went to Solana Breakpoint, my first ever. And I'll tell you, Anthony, it was a wild vibe being in there. Very, very different than any conference I've been to. It felt like we were all in a club. I never saw the creator of a DEX get a standing ovation, which they got. I'm a Jupiter guy. And, obviously a lot of games, a lot of meme coins, a really cool vibe. And also somebody pulled me aside and they said, hey, Brian, I know you're big on freedom of speech. I know you're really against censorship and, you've suffered because of that in the past. He said, that's what Solana is. He said, sure, everybody complains there's too many meme coins, but guess what? You can do anything you want on this blockchain and no one's going to tell you not to. Whereas they were saying on Base that maybe it's harder to do because it's associated with an exchange. And it felt like a really cool punk vibe. And I'm curious what you saw in Solana and why you fell out of love with Ethereum.
I started my entire crypto journey mining Ether, which is a really important data point, right? I started mining in 2016. I think that Ether's price was like $8. And we were mining something like 5 Ether a day, which at the time, after making a pretty big investment in machines and you're making $40 a day, $50 a day, that's not really the path to making your money back, let alone having profit. But in the beginning of 2017, Ether went from $8 to $100 in the first 5 months or so of the year. And it caught my attention, right? One of the beauties of all financial assets, price draws attention. And so as my attention got drawn, I started to learn more. Now I made a fatal mistake at that time. And then I sold everything at like $150. I thought I was a genius. The next George Soros or Stanley Druckenmiller, I'm up 15 plus X. Look how smart I am. Ethereum then ran from $150 to $1,400 by the end of the year. And I watched basically crying every day as it did it. And I had too much pride to buy back in. But by the time the prices crashed, I then had done a lot of work. I understood Bitcoin much more. And I went in and I bought a lot of Bitcoin in the bear market of 2018. Now, the reason why I tell that story is because when I first started in the crypto industry, it was not a story of freedom of speech, decentralized money, nation states, sovereignty, none of that stuff. A college kid named JP Barrett came to me and said, hey, you should put some money in and buy these machines and it's going to print money. And I said, I've never had somebody pitch me on a money printer before, but that sounds interesting. Explain more. And he explained how it all worked. And I said, you know what? I'll take a flyer on this. Let's give it a try. And it worked. And so my entry into crypto was very similar to other people. I think I'm just willing to admit it. There was a money-making opportunity. And so a lot of people show up for the money. They want to get rich. That's why all financial assets, for the most part, receive inflows. But the beauty of Bitcoin was it taught me about the world. It taught me about all these other components. And so I stayed for the money, but not the profit, the idea of digital sound money. So come for the money, stay for the money. It's a great way to view kind of how people's journey into this is. As I learned more about Bitcoin, I realized that Bitcoin is not the first iteration of digital currencies. There's 40 plus years of R&D that went into this. There's e-gold and many other attempts at these digital currencies in the past that didn't work. Bitcoin is just the first one that worked, that got some sort of global adoption. And so for most people, it's the first time they heard of one. But if you go back and you look at the cypherpunk history, you see that Bitcoin's actually like the 15th iteration that ended up working. Similar to how Google was like the 25th search engine, that just is the one that ended up working. But if you go and you look at Ethereum, it's actually the first smart contract platform. And so the risk of being disrupted is way higher for Ethereum than it was for Bitcoin. And so that got me thinking, okay, well, what are the benefits of Ethereum? What are the risks? What else is out there, etc. The name of the game in monetary revolutions is that it ends in maximalism. If you live in the United States, you get paid in dollars, you save in dollars, you spend in dollars, you pay your taxes in dollars. You are a dollar maximalist. But the name of the game in technology revolutions is competition. There is constant iteration. Stasis equals death. And so you have to keep improving. And so when Solana started to run in the last cycle. I'd been an investor in a fund that had bought Solana very early at under $1. It run all the way up to $250. There was a lot of money that was made by a lot of people during that, and then it crashed. And when it came back down, I think it hit something like $8 or $9 and started to recover. And I said, wait a minute, it didn't die. I thought that all the altcoins that were worthless, they all died. This one didn't die. Started doing work on it. And I realized it was faster, it was cheaper. People were moving over. Developers were building on it. People realized, hey, wait a second, this thing solves our problem. It's not the most decentralized, but that's okay. And so around 45, 50 bucks, I bought some, kept going up. And one of the beauties is when you buy an asset and it goes up, it's confirming you're right. You should buy more. Don't take your foot off the gas. Bought more. And I continued to do that. And so we've built a fairly large position, second largest position in our crypto portfolio. But I look today, and what I say to myself is, if smart contracts are going to be successful, I think that Solana is going to be one of the winners. Not going to be the only one, but it's going to be one of the winners. And if that occurs, there will be value that accrues to a token, and therefore, I'm going to hold it. I don't know what it's going to be worth in the future, but it feels like it's going to be worth a lot more. Now, what I do say also is, Bitcoin, I plan to give to my grandchildren. It's an asset that you buy and hold forever. I don't think that I will hand my Solana to my grandchildren because it is part of the technology revolution. And therefore, there's constant disruption and competition. And therefore, something is likely to come along at some point that is going to disrupt whatever the dominant smart contract platform is. And so know what you own. Know what are the things you're going to hold forever. And know what are the things that, I'm going to hold it for whatever period of time, a year, 2 years, whatever it is. And then I'll reevaluate. And I fully expect at some point to be convinced that I should actually put that money into something else. It is the balance between savings and investing. And then one of the frameworks I like to tell people is, in the traditional financial system, you have a checking account, you got a savings account. In crypto, you got a checking account and a savings account. Bitcoin is a savings account. Whether it is stable coins or altcoins or whatever, that's kind of your checking account. You spend, you use, you play with the checking account. You don't touch your savings account, right? And so in the financial system, we literally have that concept. Crypto has the same thing. You just got to kind of put those two mental models on top of each other, and you realize Bitcoin is a savings account. Everything else is in your checking account. Some people are really good at spending. Some people not so good. Just don't go into debt, and you should be okay over the long run.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.